Hi there, my wonderful friends. Welcome back to Gigatory. Today, I have a new mind-blowing story for you. Have a good time. My boyfriend cheated on me with a student, and I contacted her. Here's what happened. My boyfriend and I have been together since 2019. I met him at college. Our relationship for the past 3 years has not been perfect. We have had a lot of ups and downs. A lot of it has stemmed from him and just not wanting to put any effort in. Any issue I ever have with him was mainly him not doing things that I knew he could do. Basically the bare minimum. He's currently in grad school and has been for our entire relationship. And everything he has had to do for it has also put a lot of strain on a relationship. I completely understand it's his goal, and I'm not going to get in the way of that. At the beginning of December, I got COVID for the first time, and it was horrible. He didn't want me to get any of his students sick and risk them needing to do a makeup final, so he made me sleep in the living room. Even after I wasn't sick, he wasn't ready for me to move back into the bedroom. At the end of finals week, last week, he started saying that he had a lot of things to think about, and he didn't know if he wanted to be with me or not. He said I was endgame material, and he didn't know if he was ready for that yet. Nothing happened for this to come off. I've been working full time. I actually got offered a higher position and more money that I turned down because I didn't want to move away yet. My gut was telling me that there's somebody else. Just a few days before Christmas, December 20th, and I realized that one of his students that he added on social media has blocked me on everything. Before that, I noticed that he commented on her TikToks. This student is 19 years old. Every alarm bell was ringing in my head. So I had to get on my fake Facebook account and message her and see if she would tell me anything. She did message me back and told me a good amount. Told me that they got high together on campus. And then I recently learned today that they also slept together. That really hurts. The big kicker was for our entire relationship, he would never buy me flowers. He said they were a waste of money. But on December 11th, he spent $300 on a bouquet for her birthday. And the note said that she always deserved flowers. Of course, after he was caught, he grovels. I also have screenshots from both of them, and I think he's worried that either she will go and report him, or I will. He wants to do anything to get me back to a point. I don't know how to continue on right now. I don't know what to do, and part of me wants to work on a relationship and get back together. I know that is so stupid. Please, any advice would be so helpful. I feel so lost and so heartbroken. My girlfriend cheated on my birthday with another guy. Here's what happened. Me and my girlfriend are together for 2.5 years now. We have a dog and 2 cats together and recently moved into a house I inherited from my grandma, and up until now, had pretty much a perfect relationship. But recently, 1 month or so, she started working part-time in a bar. I initially was against the idea because we don't really need the money, and with me being a paramedic, we already had little time with each other because I have a shift schedule, which isn't really that compatible with a normal Monday through Friday job. So I'm often home when she is working, and the other way around. But until now, we still made it work and had a satisfying amount of time with each other. But with all that in mind, she still took the job without ever really talking it out with me. She just told me her plan once I voiced my concerns, and next I know, she took the job anyways. She now, most of the times, we would be home the same time. She either has to work in that bar, or sleeps because she is so exhausted from her shift at the bar. So now, I have the feeling we don't see each other anymore. I already told her my concerns. She told me that she would make it work for both of us, but till now, nothing changed. But all that while, it still is uncool, isn't the worst part. While working at the bar, she met a boy. She tells me it's an old friend, but in 2.5 years of dating, she never mentioned him once. This boy is a regular at the bar, so she sees him pretty often when working there. She also has his number, and at home, she writes constantly with him. And I just see her smiling at all the texts with a smile she normally just had for me. Don't know how to explain it. Also, she constantly meets up with him after the shift in the bar. And also in her free time, she even ditched me a couple of times for him. She recently celebrated her birthday and had a big party in a club. She planned all that without really telling me, and when she told me, everything was already reservated and set in stone. Which made me angry because I had night shift, which she knows, but she still prioritized this boy's schedule because the date she chose was the only date he had time. But on top of that, she told me it's kind of my fault because I could have taken a day off. But that's just not possible when she tells me a week before. So yesterday, I had a really long talk with her where I told her how I feel and all my concerns. And there she told me that she's kind of falling for this boy. But at the same time, she still loves me and says he doesn't make her feel like I do, and that it only feels like home when she's with me. Also, she tries to convince me that it's normal to want something outside of a relationship. And now I'm confused. I'm really hurt and don't know what to do, because I don't feel like that. I never felt the need to want something outside of our relationship. I love her and just her. She's the only one I ever wanted. and that's why it hurts so much when she tells me that. To be honest, I don't think it's normal or okay to want something like that when you're in a committed relationship. Yeah, friendship is okay, but that is definitely more than friendship. On a side note, we also barely have sex anymore. Before she started working at the bar, we had sex like all the time. Now I'm lucky if I get it once a week. And even then, she isn't really into it and asks me to go be quick. At first, I thought it's just because we have less time with each other, but now I'm scared that she isn't attracted to me anymore. Or worse, she gets it somewhere else. I also told her that concern, but she denied it and says it just feels like a chore, so she doesn't want to so often anymore. Which didn't make it better, because like I said, in the past, we were all over each other, and she never told me something like that. I started making a lot of money and overheard my mother and sister discussing how to take advantage of my success and use me as a bank. Here's what happened. So I grew up very poorly. My dad left my mom when she was pregnant with me, so I grew up with only one parent and an older sister. The problem is that my mom was a stay-at-home mom till then, so she had to find a job, which just brought enough money so that she had everything we need. I always wanted to help my family financially. I felt like since I was the only man in the house, I was obligated to do that. I thought about many specific things I could do. Maybe something where I can work from home. I trained myself in video editing and music production. This way, I could be a freelance post-production guy. While this business started very poorly, I got more attention from different local artists over the time. And with that, I also got more attention from people outside of my reachable area. Finally, my work started to bring in good money. While the amounts of money were lower at the beginning, the quality of my work increased over time despite all this, so that at some point I was able to charge significantly higher prices for my services. Of course, this didn't went unnoticed by my mom and my sister, and they were happy for me. I now made more than enough money to feed this family basically by myself. My mom asked me if I could take over the bills for a while so that she could quit and look for a better paying job. It was no problem for me. My sister also asked me if I could help her paying for her college tuition, which I was completely fine with. I loved the fact that my family didn't have any financial worries because of me. However, what I did realize is that they came to me for every single financial matter, which was rational, yes, but it also was weird that I never saw any of them even attempting to get a job. Especially my mom, because she literally said that I had to take care of the bills while she is looking for a better paying job. But I never saw her apply to one. And yes, my sister was in college, but she still should have the time for a mini job, to have some money for herself at least, but she also refused. But it didn't bother me until a few days ago. It was in the morning, and I just woke up. My mom and sister were decorating the house with Christmas decorations, and when I walked down the stairs, I heard them talking while they did. I decided to surprise them and help them. I was ready to get some of the decorations out of the basement when I overheard my mother say, "Listen, I know we are lucky that we don't have to go to work, but if we want this good lifestyle to continue, we cannot tell him that we don't look for a job." Then my sister said, "Yes, but don't you think he becomes suspicious? Don't get me wrong, I like how things are right now, but still." To which my mom replied, "No, he won't. Just watch how I behave towards him and behave the same way, and then we're fine." And then they focused on the Christmas decorations again. I stood behind the door with the box in my hand, and I couldn't believe my ears. They purposely didn't look for a job because they like the fact that they don't have to go to work. I was hurt. I felt betrayed and I was angry, but I suppressed my feelings and went inside. They both greeted me with a big smile. My mom hugged me and gave me a kiss, but it felt so different. They were hiding their true face. Like I said, this was a few days ago. For some reason, I couldn't bring myself to confront them about that conversation yet. I think that if we had communicated and they would have been honest, I might have been okay with doing this for a longer amount of time because I love them. But this way, it just hurts me. I feel like I'm nothing but a bank to them. My Karen roommate threatens to throw my cat out while I'm not home for telling her to evict. Here's what happened. I, 36 female, rent out my place from one of my best friends, my landlord, who is a traveling nurse and no longer lives in my state. He visits maybe twice a year. I'm entirely responsible for the home. I rent out half of it to a woman, 33 female, I met on Craigslist in February 2022. I'll call her Karen. I was desperate to fill the room after my previous roommate abruptly moved out of state for a job opportunity. Karen seemed to have her life together, a good job, and was a good roommate in the beginning. Now it's become unlivable, and I'm worried about my house when I'm not home. Karen is an alcoholic who doesn't remember anything when she goes on binges. She's climbed into bed with me at night, stripped down naked in front of me, among many other things I wish I didn't have to experience. I tried to be her friend up until June when she brought a man home from a bar one night. He stole her credit card and blamed me for stealing it, even though I wasn't home. The only way I was able to show her proof it wasn't me was videos of the man my front door camera caught. She didn't even recognize him. After that incident, I avoided her constantly and was no longer friendly toward her. I wasn't rude, just didn't talk to her. She seemed to drink less, but she would be gone all weekend drinking somewhere else. Nothing changed. I felt like a part-time housekeeper as she stopped doing chores. I was even finishing her laundry she would keep in the washer and dryer for days. Her room reeked of dog pee you could smell from the living room. It felt overwhelming. I felt used and manipulated. I reached a breaking point at the end of October. She booked a hotel room to party in and left her dog alone all weekend in her room. I heard howling from her dog, checked on him, and found my landlord's bedroom furniture damage. I talked to my landlord. We decided it was best to ask her to leave. I confronted her when she got home and told her I wanted her to be moved out by February 2023. It gave her a lot of time to save money, 3 months, and find a better solution. Then she got upset with me for not doing my part of the housework and going in her room. General gaslighting. I have taken over all of the chores at this point and just avoid her. She's been extremely avoidant of my front door camera lately. A couple of weeks ago, I caught her leaving out of the back door, and when she realized I saw, she came back inside and left out the front door. Last Monday, I tripped and fell at work, landed weird, and messed up my knee. I've been having a hard time walking and limp around. The other day, I get out of my car after an errand and saw Karen chasing after her dog that just escaped from the house. She didn't say anything to me. She didn't ask for help, and I definitely couldn't run after him anyway. As she was walking back inside after finding her dog, she looks directly into the front camera and said, pulls up, goes in the house. Well, guess what? Next time your cat goes missing, I won't try to track him down. The comment made my blood boil. My cat has never gone missing. I feel like she's going to just let my cat run outside next chance she gets. All my friends are saying I'm giving her entirely too much time to stay here after everything. I'm not sure if I should just ignore the video entirely or confront her. She only has about 7 more weeks until my landlord gets back into town. I'm hoping she just leaves without any more drama, but I'm worried. My Karen grandma hates my whole family, and after an argument, we decided to put her in a nursing home. Here's what happened. So my mom is overweight. My grandmom was a horrible parent who apparently went on tirades when mom and her sisters were young about nothing in particular. Because of this, my mom developed an eating disorder and social anxiety. My aunts all have social anxiety too, and at least one of them also has a similar eating disorder. My mom is really the only sister in the family that actively has us around my grandmom, and probably only because she wants to see me and my siblings, her grandkids. Everyone else refuses to be around her if they can help it, only ever seeing each other at family gatherings, and even then, not everyone shows up. My grandmom also constantly berates my grandpa to the point I think she'd rather prefer a butler than a husband. My grandpa is a sweet man who has dyslexia. Because back when he was young, they didn't have a way to diagnose or treat dyslexia, he was just told he was stupid and grew to believe he was worth nothing except the manual labor he could provide. He's 78 now, and he got laid off as a forklift operator a year ago during COVID because apparently they considered him a potential workplace hazard. With no work, my grandpa is becoming depressed, and it's not getting any better due to my grandmom seeming to think that he should just do everything for her. One of my aunts, who's a lesbian, this is important later, lives with her, and if her and my grandpa didn't live there, my grandmom would starve. They cook the food, they clean, and she sits on her fat ass watching Law and Order all day. And on top of that, my grandmom verbally abuses my grandpa quite a lot. She calls him fat. She's twice as fat as him, and he's in good shape for his age. Useless, and that he should work when she knows very well he can't. And I don't know if she understands telling him he needs to work, or that all he's good for is just really beating him down, and it's doing what everyone else has done to him. My grandmom also seems to be incapable of understanding when someone else has an experience that isn't face value. Me and my brother are autistic. He found out before I did, and we both have sensory processing disorder too. When my grandmom found out, she became confusingly offended, as if someone had just diagnosed her instead of my brother. She exclaimed that, "That's just my brother," and telling us we shouldn't need to give him medicine because they can't fix how someone is. I heard this secondhand through my mother. and I almost lost my shit. How fucking dare she say that? I have to live with a brother who at the drop of a pin could fly into a panic attack, and she has the audacity to say that this is just him? I love my brother, and I don't want to see him so miserable. Why is that bat so incessant on things she can't understand? Recently, I was diagnosed with something similar to my brother, along with OCD and GAD, and I told my parents never to tell my grandmom, because if she found out and tried to say those things she said to my brother to me, I would go insane. I also, a while back, came out as non-binary to my parents, who were very accepting. But again, I have not and will not tell my grandmom about it, because I guarantee she will, if anything, refuse to use my new name and pronouns strictly out of spite. To help calm me with the stress of coming out, my parents told me my aunt was lesbian, and she had told my grandparents, who were apparently fine with it. But it does explain quite a lot. It explains why my grandmom makes all those strangely sexual jokes about women in front of my aunt, or why she doesn't seem to like her going out, because my aunt might meet someone. A couple months ago, me and my mom wanted to record my grandpa telling stories about his family because he's very fond of talking. We were going to compile the stories and some pictures into a book for my aunts and my grandpa. He has a huge box of photos in their basement, and we had called my grandmom to ask her to get them out before we came. We told her we needed them so we could ask my grandpa questions to get stories out of him. This phone call was about 3 hours before we went over, and when we finally came over, we find the pictures nowhere to be found, and not only was my grandmom just watching television, but she hadn't even told my grandpa we were coming over. Her excuse? You don't need those old pictures. They're too buried down in the basement anyway. Going downstairs, we find the box of pictures in plain sight underneath something else. While we were recording the stories in the dining room, my grandmom sits in the living room, refusing to turn down the television and interjecting into our conversation once every 10 minutes to say something redundant. Needless to say, I despise my grandmom. I think I love her because she's family, but I'm beginning to think that it's not deserved whatsoever. I'm going to revel in the guilty joy of when my grandpa passes away and she gets sent to an old person's home and nobody comes to visit her. She'll be alone because she couldn't care enough to love anyone. We all gave her chance after chance after chance, and she refused it every time. I'm pregnant, and my husband is sleeping with my mom and hiding it from me. But I read his private messages. Here's what happened. I, 26 female, have found out my 30 years old husband was sleeping with my 52 years mom. I honestly don't know how to react. I'm 4 months pregnant, and I'm trying not to stress since it's bad for the baby. I honestly had suspicions about my husband cheating. When I announced my pregnancy, he seemed happy. Over the moon, actually. He was kissing me and telling me how lucky he was to have me, but now he changed. About 2 weeks after my surprise announcement, he stopped hugging me and kissing me like usual. He stopped eating the meals I'd make for him after work and said he already ate some fast food or something. I also noticed he had changed his lock screen, which was a picture of us. Not sure if that meant anything, to be honest. I found out 3 days ago. I went through his phone while he was in the shower and found text messages, videos, pictures. I'm sick to my stomach thinking about what I saw. I saw pictures of my mom in lingerie, and he was replying with pictures of his penis, saying he was so hard for her. I even saw a message of regret. He had said that maybe they should stop since he didn't want to hurt me, but my mom said I wouldn't get hurt as long as I kept it all a secret. But what angered me the most was the message she sent a few days ago. I'll quote it here so anyone reading this can get an idea of how serious their affair is and has been. I love you so much, more than you think. You've helped me through the passing of my beloved ex-husband, and for that I truly thank you. I know it is hard for you to keep a secret like this. For me it is too. I love my daughter with all my heart, but she will have to accept eventually that love is love, and that the heart wants what it wants. Our hearts want each other. I thought that ever since my husband died, nobody would ever love me because I'm just an old woman, but you have shown me to love myself and made me feel young again. Let's keep having fun and cherishing each other. I think it's important to know my father passed away about 5 years ago from a stroke, and my mother said she refused to get back into dating or romance because my father is her forever love and only. It's absolute bullshit, I'm very crushed, and it's the fact that I know they slept after that message, because that was the night he didn't come home until 1 in the morning due to his work and paid overtime. I actually threw up after reading that message. I have screenshots of the messages and have sent the videos to myself. Of course, I deleted them on his phone, so it looked like he never sent me anything. I'm numb. I'm confused. I'm hurt so bad. I can't even cry because I refuse to believe it. My husband is at work. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed writing this. Any advice? Please, I'm desperate for just a little bit of anything, really. This baby in me is honestly the only thing preventing me from confrontation. I'm afraid that confronting them now will cause too much stress and anger, and I want the best for my child. At this point, all I want to do is have my baby. Christmas is soon, and I don't want to ruin it for the family. I had also planned on announcing my pregnancy that day.